Absolutely pivotal game for the best of 7. For Team Epic, it is USKC.
And down in the bottom right-ish side, playing for Team IBM. They definitely need to take this game to try and tie it back up. I love his name. Give a cheer for Thudbang.
I would also like to give an extra special shout out to the supportive family of Thudbang, who is in attendance today. Is Thudbang's family out there? Oh my God! And they all have thunder sticks to cheer as avidly as possible.
That is true. I was able to meet them before the games. They are pretty awesome, but we shall see here how this game is going to play out. We currently do see, a lot of drones. We don't see a super early pool out of either of these players. And Sean, what are your thoughts on hatchery first in ZVZ?
Oh, well, at the very least, it looks like what Thudbang will be doing. He's done this throughout the season, but his opponent is opening up with a little bit more of an aggressive build. Now, this is interesting. USKC's profile that we just looked at said that, you know me, I'm Zerg, I love the macro, and he's coming right out with the gas pool build. Means he will be devoting that early gas to Zergling speed, perhaps going for very fast Banelings, but we generally see eventual Banelings from this sort of play, leaving 1 or 2 in the gas geyser. And Thudbang, oh my God, playing bold, going hatch, then extractor, and then a pool. Yeah, and it's really important that you do mention that, because this Overlord right here by USKC immediately sees the timing of the spawning pool. That is something that's it's a dynamic that really isn't in any other matchup, where you can have full map vision with your Overlords. You can even hover them at your opponent's base for quite a while. Like this Overlord for USKC could actually hang out there a little bit longer if he wanted to, because the Queen's not going to be done anytime soon. Even though there is a hatchery first build here, it means that his macro is going to be good, but he will have to absolutely defend this. And now that USKC is going for Zergling speed, do you expect him to stay on one base for a while, or what do you think here? Now, this is so interesting. USKC is not making any Zerglings. He's just going to be going straight for the expand of his own. I don't dislike this play, but there has to be some sort of aggressive action from those Zerglings to really justify it. We invested so much getting this extractor and this pool up early that if we don't use it, it might feel a little bit off for the timing of our build. Thudbang comfortably building 2 queens and almost has enough money now to start that speed of his own, and he is about a minute behind, pretty significant, but he won't be attacking for a while either.
Yeah, this is definitely turning out to be quite interesting. I was keeping an eye on our red Zerg player, USKC. He definitely very methodically was moving those drones in and out of gas. So he had an idea here. I think what he did is he pulled them out for a couple of seconds, got the hatchery, immediately put them back in there. That is going to be able to fund his, not of course his metabolic boost, but also his Baneling nest that he does indeed have on the way here. And is the Overlord going to get taken out? That Queen wants it. And, it's pretty close. What? No! Even slower motion than they usually do.
I've never seen a crowd of people be so excited that something didn't happen.
Indeed.
Oh, things not happening. Woo! Thud sticks together.
We do have Thudbang with the spine crawler right here, and this may prove to be effective because look at this from USKC. He does have his Banelings in a forward position. Would you say this is all in, or is this just going to try and get lucky on killing a couple drones?
Well, it looks like he's devoting all his Zerglings to Baneling play and now building drones back home, but this is still going to be a little bit of a scary push for Thudbang. It looks like that spine crawler getting surrounded. How will he control against these Banelings? Not enough speed yet. Oh my God, my heart. It looks like the Banelings are moving in. USKC, the Queen does end up falling, but does USKC have enough back home? In that unit counting station, we see that USKC has taken the drone lead 21-18, but look at the amount of larvae that we see hanging down in the blue Zerg's camp. What will Thudbang's follow-up be? He's building some defensive Zerglings back home, but right now Thudbang is trying to force as many lings as he can. Thudbang opened up so brilliantly, but it was one Baneling blast that put him behind.
Needs to watch out for these 5 Zerglings right there. Yeah, there's 5 right there. He almost ended up losing them. Thankfully, he realized the rally point was still set there, is able to save them. And in this matchup, every single unit is so vital. But both players are at 36 out of 36 supply, and with the Overlords only halfway done, that does mean there's not going to be a big swell of units right now, which in the long grand scheme of things does mean that it allows these players to begin droning up once again, because there's no huge swell well. And taking a look at the Army size, it's 12-16, and the worker supply for USKC has taken a substantial lead at 31-25.
Looks like USKC did build that roach warren, won't really be doing too much with it. It's very difficult to sustain big roach production, even on 2 hatches, until you have a pretty decent number. Ooh, that is a great exchange right there for Thudbang. He would love to trade 1 Ling for 1 Baneling. He will not get so lucky twice.
Yeah, he did try indeed to do that, and these Banelings in the defensive positioning at the top of the ramp does make them hard to snipe with 1 Zergling, because you have to run the Zergling up the ramp and then click it on the Baneling. Does take a lot of micro. We were mentioning a little bit earlier about the map vision. If you look at either vision of these players, they have their overlords in such positions to where you can see everything that's going on. Now, whoever gets Mutalisks first or Hydras can easily clean those up, but we don't seem to see that quite yet, as the layer tech has just started, and both players have been setting up their roach warrens.
USKC going for the layer tech so much earlier. And I mean, people talk a lot about getting Zergling speed first, how that changes the dynamic. Roach speed the exact same way. If you get roach speed first, then you can be aggressive and know that you can retreat comfortably. And
tried to sneak in there, and I don't think he has been able to see this lair tech. He really wanted to. Yeah, he hasn't even scouted that there's a hatchery there. Of course, he does know that it is there, but he doesn't know that there's the +1 range on the way, as well as that lair tech about to finish up here. And for Thudbang, he has to make sure not to let, I'm assuming he's going to be Hydras, because we do have the +1 range on the way. If that is the case, he has to make sure the Hydralist count does not get too out of control, because those Hydralists are fairly easy to keep alive when you use the roaches to absorb the damage.
Now, this is a very tricky position for Thudbang. He needs to start building a lot of roaches very, very soon. In that unit station, we see that he has a few less drones than his opponent. He is behind on that upgrade count, and there's the roach speed. USKC can do a risk-free attack in about 90 seconds. With that speed coming up first, he is guaranteed to be able to step forward and pull back if his opponent has too much. And now Thudbang is committed to making only roaches for the time being. But did USKC start that production too early? USKC is actually a little bit behind on the gas count, and that could be the one saving grace for Thudbang in this defense.
Also, Thudbang did delay that expansion for USKC by about 15 to 20 seconds, and that does make a big difference. There's a single Ling there. It does look like he's got to send Lings over here. I don't know where these are going. He's got to try and make it all the way to the main base. He needs to know what's going on, but the Baneling defense, impeccable, as that was not very cost effective. Although I guess killing a couple Banelings is good, but he really wanted to see what's going on.
Wow, and it looks like Thudbang has been doing maximum roach production. He has 9 more on the way. USKC will have that speed first, will have +1 first, but Thudbang's going to have to rely on overwhelming numbers and hope that the earliness of this hatch was enough. This is a very dangerous defensive position for Thudbang to be in.
Now, one important thing to note is that USKC does have quite the war chest of resources here that he can continue to spend. He has 1,000 minerals and 500 gas. If he's ever able to get that larva count very high, he can do a big swell of those roaches, and that +1 timing could be brutal. Although, really, that attack upgrade is only going to be beneficial here for about a minute, as we do have +1 on the way for Thudbang as well. And we do have a quick +2 here out of USKC. What do you think about these early upgrades, Sean?
Love this early upgrade play by USKC, taking that risk-free attack forward, seeing the swell of roaches from Thudbang, and pulling back. Now Thudbang taking his third base. Both of them playing pretty similarly. Thudbang couldn't really make use of this third because he was pretty much in all-in defense mode. And we do see that the food count favors Thudbang slightly, can be a little bit deceptive because so much of that is in roaches. Thudbang had to build all those defensively. In terms of the tech, we see USKC having a minor lead. He's now starting to build Hydralists. He's starting to get this +2. Thudbang has an extremely small window to make an attack, so small that it pretty much should just stay at home. He doesn't even have that speed upgrade yet, but it looks like he's going to be going for the Infestor play. If he can get a decent amount of Infestors up, that'll definitely turn the tide in his favor. Yeah,
USKC has been playing so well in this game so far. I was taking a look at the spinning tab, and he currently has spent more on all 3 of those tabs, the economy, technology, and army.
Yeah.
That just means he's ahead in basically every single way that he can be. Now, he is going to be getting out these Hydras right now. these are the unit that you want to keep alive as long as you possibly can, because their DPS output is insane. You can see you can start cleaning up these overlords as well. Although it does look like he decides to move forward. It needs to make sure that these Hydras are joining in the battle. They are kind of stuck behind. Does decide to back up here and regroup. The supplies are virtually identical, but these Hydras can make a world of difference.
It's a weird spot to be in with the Hydralisks. Your roaches want to run ahead, and then my roaches can overwhelm your roaches in number, and when the Hydras arrive in battle, I just retreat. Thudbang's going to go for those sorts of engagements. He's going to step right into the fray. He is not waiting for the Infestors. This could be a big blunder for Thudbang. He's continuing to rip it apart. Can he start to take down the Hydralisk count? Thudbang, with a huge number of roaches, is just overrunning the front. I don't believe it. IBM Thudbang taking it down.
Now the important part is to keep those Hydralisks alive, but he wasn't able to keep the Hydras alive. They were stuck out in the center of the map. The move speed of the roaches is too big, and it looks like USKC may lose a couple of roaches here. Can this slow BS do it? The rally point not the best there as they just ran to their demise, but there are more roaches reinforcing this, and the supplies are still virtually identical here, Sean.
Thudbang is starting to stockpile a lot of gas, has not really built any Infestors, but Thudbang is starting to lose that arc advantage. If he can pick off the Queen, there it is, and whoa, Thudbang springing into action with a lot more roaches, 23 to 20. Oh my gosh, they have almost identical roach counts. Nice transfuse. Thudbang looks like he will not be able to swing the sway in his favor, and Thudbang is forced to retreat.
Yeah, he was forced to retreat there. And watch it. Oh, a couple bad rallied roaches right there are going to get taken out. And also, it's important to note, if you watch that, Thudbang had a lot of momentum going on.
Zergling counterattack managed to obliterate a lot of the drones. Thudbang in a really bad spot, and now he's going to have to rebuild with a lot of those Infestors.
Yes, 14 workers killed in that engagement. Taking a look at the units tab, it's 84 drones to 54, and we actually see a fourth base on the way for USKC. And for a moment there, it was looking a little bit scary for USKC. In that first battle, he didn't have that +2 attack, and in the second battle at those ramps is when it really started to kick in there. So that's why his army is able to swell 177 to 140 now, and having to rebuild those drones is a huge detriment to Thudbang, but he also made 7 Infestors. I think he's trying to buy as much time as he can here with the future fungal growths.
Thudbang now gathering together all of those Infestors, kind of hanging out in the middle. Thudbang now moving Infestors forward to join with the rest of his army. He can turn the tide with just a single good fungal, and ooh, there are 10 Hydras out on the field, or 10 Hydras in production. That might be a little bit too many, but wow. 40 roaches for USKC, flooded with so many of them. The question is, can the Infestors pull the tide back? Hive coming up for both players. There's all the roaches. It's all going to come down to the fungals, and he gets a good one.
Needs to land the second one if possible. And if he cannot engage while the fungals are still active, that's going to be great for him, because then it will allow the fungals to do their full damage. Now, getting that first one off was nice, and it looks like USKC
is... no! Getting a whole bunch of overlords killed off in the middle of the map. USKC managing to pull the tide back in his favor. His opponent's supply block, it is a maxed army versus a nearly maxed army. Again, it's all going to come down to those fungals, Husky.
Yeah, and he needs to make sure he's not too aggressive with these. He's making 12 overlords at a time. It's like he bought those guys at Costco. He's going to have way too many. Throwing out these to try and buy a little bit of time. It is going to work for now.
Oh!
Biggest fungal I think I've ever seen on roaches.
That is the hugest fungals ever. Thudbang doing brilliantly. Oh my God, Thudbang is going to eliminate almost all his roaches immediately.
Wow, able to even up that score quite quickly. Important to take note of that unit's loss tab, as he was behind on the unit's loss, but now light years ahead right now, as he was able to take out so many of those roaches. But you got to remember that USKC does have that fourth base up, so even though he lost those resources, look at this, he is at a maxed out army right away.
And 9 Infestors coming out for USKC with those Hydralisks. It's starting to look increasingly grim. Thudbang, that is brave. Thudbang has no fear at all of anything. He's going to expand in the middle of the zone of attack. USKC, Hydralisk caught out of position. A lot more of those roaches being caught out of position. Thudbang doing a good job continuing to reinforce and locking down everything with those wicked good fungals, but those Infestors are looking mighty low on energy. And the real danger is all the Infestors about to pop out for USKC, but Thudbang going for the third. Uh-oh.
All right, returning the favor. Infestors on the high ground. Never looks so scared. Can he fungal? He does. Needs to protect the Infestors on the right side. He could fungal those Infestors as well. Back and forth battling here as the supplies are virtually identical. The Fungals continuing to be thrown out 2-1 for both players here. So these roaches are identical on the damage output, and the supplies now starting to favor USKC, but a lot of it is in those roaches that have not spawned yet.
Oh, a big swell of roaches from USKC. The back and forth battle. Might the tide be turned by these infested Terrans? There are so many roaches out there for USKC, and now Thudbang is slowly starting to lose ground. The infested Terrans deal a lot of damage, and all the infestors have to retreat. Can Thudbang do a last single flood of infestors? Oh no, another miss rally. We'll have to pull back again. Thudbang's been making only roaches and has so much gas, Husky.
Yeah, and the main problem right now is that we saw that Zergling counterattack earlier on the third base, and Thudbang hasn't been able to do a Zergling counterattack on his opponent's fourth base. That's why he's continually falling further and further behind in the supply counts. After those battles, once again, look at this, USKC at 199 supply out of 200. His income is looking great. It is way ahead of his opponents in both gas and minerals, pushing 2,000 minerals there per minute, and the upgrade timing is virtually identical, so he's not really behind in any regard, and that means Thudbang is going to have to find a way to continue being cost effective, but I mean, he's running out of options here.
Thudbang starting to replenish those infestors. We see that it's 6 infestors for Thudbang versus 4 for USKC. Both players maxed, both players a little bit leery to do any kind of very fast Broodlord tech. 7 infestors now popping out for Thudbang. Again, that will definitely assist in those battles, but you can never discount the pure damage output of Hydras, especially in a mix like this. Whoa, those infestors have a full fungal each.
All right, here we go. The Fungals could be brutal as the Concave was not complete setup. Thudbang, though, reacting a little bit slow, but can he get the Fungals he needs to? Both players throwing them out right now. You have to keep an eye on the supplies, though, as that army is completely green for both of these players. But 178 supply to 141. Thudbang is running out of units. Can he do the damage he needs to here?
Infestors for Thudbang. He needs to get the big Fungals to finish this army off. He has no more roaches to be able to reinforce. It's all going to be up to Fungals, but it looks like USKC just went for 4 more units. And that's all he's going to need to start knocking down the front door. And with that 2,000 in the bank, he can replenish so many roaches. Thudbang now throwing out a ton of those infested Terrans, but it looks like it won't be enough. And good game! Epic now at 3-1.
Yeah, and you mentioned the importance of that game number 4, John, because I mean, it was either going to tie it up or make it to where it's kind of match point, where, you know, if that team loses the next game, then it is all over. But what a great ZVZ we saw out of both of these players. Some good decision-making back and forth. But a lot of it does come down to, I think, that Zergling counterattack was really what swayed it into USKC's favor.
Yes, yeah.
Allowed him to also secure the 4th, so it was adding insult to injury, as not only did he eliminate the economy, but he could also have his own economy to back it up. And I gotta hand it to our blue Zerg player, though. He was able to be cost effective for a long time. And if he hadn't have lost those drones, I think we'd still be watching the game right now.
Yeah, Thudbang took a big hit in the early game and continued to play well, to hang in the game, force it to extend, and was literally inches away from closing the deal time and time again. Very, very close match. And that goes to show you that the result, the 3-1, a little deceptive. Doesn't quite tell the tale of how close this match has really been.
Yeah, now anything can still happen there. There is your winner, USKC. So obviously Team Epic looking pretty excited about that win. Ooh, but that's going to be putting a lot of pressure here on IBM. I think we are going to be seeing the player who flew in. Is he playing next? I believe he is.
Kuma.
He flew like 800,000 miles.
IBM, and he will be going up against Spray Paint from Team Epic. And I do believe that these players, this is one of their first big games. Especially, I mean, Kuma has a lot on his shoulders. He has to win this match just to let his team go to match number 6. And if they win there, then they have to go to match number 7. In every case, Epic is sitting quite comfortably, could possibly win in any of the next rounds.
Yeah, they have a lot of room here to either mess around, have some fun games, or they can just take it serious and seal out oh, I got invited to the wrong one. Good old Battle.net throwing me in random games. That's fine.
Now,
but
I want to hop back into the game for a moment and take a look at that third base where we saw Thudbang looking so comfortable. At this point in the game, Thudbang had this third base up. There were these engagements going on in mid, and in this engagement, things were going quite well. Things looked pretty straightforward, and USKC literally, with just 3 roaches,
roaches,
started to deal huge damage to this expansion. Just hung out, the drones were pulled, the economy immediately shattered. Thudbang trying to manage this attack at the front, as well as try to keep this base alive, and we saw that the workers killed count wasn't gigantic by any means. Thudbang had pretty good reaction time, but just misjudged slightly and thought, you know, maybe I can end up taking the game right here and now by shoving at the third base. Didn't quite have the reinforcements, and that was more than enough for USKC to get that solid advantage. So
yeah, I really like that counterattack with just 3 roaches. And roaches, compared to speedlings, I mean, they move relatively slow, so you wouldn't normally expect a Zerg player to counter with a couple of roaches because they are slow in comparison. But that did really pay off there. And I did like how he tried to transfer the drones away, but unfortunately he left the ones on the gas, which is still 6 drones that you can snipe right there. And the timing of it was those 3 roaches died right when the last drone died. So at that point, those roaches are kind of expendable. Don't tell them, but it totally had paid off. And kind of hard to recover from at that point.
So that means that Epic Systems now up 3-1, and this could be the very last game of AHGL, which of course means that there's some people that we need to definitely thank for making this entire event possible. First and foremost, all the players and team captains who played throughout the season, thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. Because the team captains helped do all the organization for all the matches, helped make sure that everyone showed up on time.
Absolutely. And also, I feel like there's an energy drink that is also part of this event.
That is right. We are here at Red Bull Gaming. Or actually here at Red Bull.
Red Bull, yeah.
In
I don't know if gaming has their own building yet, but I'm sure it will in the future. But yeah, the headquarters here is awesome, and I'm having a ton of fun. How about you, Mr. Sean?
I'm having a delightful amount of time. I know everyone here and online is having fun, because that is what esports is about, Husky.
Absolutely. Sitting at home, watching it, and posting on the forums.
Yeah.
That is